conversation.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. This is RT International. First this hour, we'll begin with the news about our sister project, that's RT Deutsch. YouTube has deleted two of the RT German language channels, citing alleged community guideline violations. One of the channels is RTDE itself, the other is called DFP. Last week they received a temporary suspension over supposed medical misinformation in relation to COVID-19. That was meant to end today, but instead it's culminated in a ban. That ban is permanent. RTDE has over 500 million views and more than 600,000 followers at the moment. And according to Tubular Labs, it had more than 20 million views in June alone and is fourth in the influence rating among German media in the news and politics category. We'll keep you up to date on that story as more information comes in. But in the meantime, let's get some analysis from Yair Cohen, an internet law expert. Good evening to you, Yair.
Good evening.
Why do you think YouTube would decide to delete this RTDE account? They've said that it violated the rules, but they haven't said what those rules are. I know we're talking about a private platform, and we hear this argument made often, you know, it's their gang, you know, they let you in or they can throw you out just as easily. But should they have to explain why people are being kicked off?
Well, they demand transparency from everyone else. It is all about the internet, according to Google. It's all about transparency. It's all about being open. It's all about having conversations, opening up conversations. But when it comes to decision-making processes, there's zero transparency here. But I just want to go back to this point of being a private company. YouTube hasn't got any expertise to fact check. So if, say, your sister station had, say, broadcasted information about COVID, then YouTube is not in a position to tell whether the information is accurate or not. So what YouTube does, YouTube says it relies on official sources. Now, who are those official sources? The official sources are official sources of the US government, and some of those sources are also UN sources. So if the official governments, say in case of COVID, of the US government, tell us all that COVID has come from a wet market and it has got nothing to do with the lab that perhaps happened to be in the same town, then this is the truth. So it is those very same officials who tell us what the truth is. Now, there is no debate. There is no opportunity for anyone to put forward a different point of view. We are not talking here about a channel that spread God forbid, call for terrorist activities or for any violence or anything like that. We're talking about putting an alternative point of view, which is supported by many, many other people, and this alternative point of view has just been suppressed.
Are we seeing now these big social media companies? They might operate quite benignly most of the time for the average person, but are they, when called upon by governments, being weaponized as a political arm?
100%. There's no doubt in my mind, at least, there will be others who might dispute this, that the big social media companies are now acting as an arm of the government. Because the US government is unable to suppress free speech. What they do, they use social media companies as proxies. And effectively what they say to me, social media companies, wink, wink, follow our directions, or there are going to be consequences. Perhaps social media companies will be losing some of their immunity rights under U.S. law. Perhaps they could be made liable for editing of posts or for posts they are posting themselves. So it seems now that the new administration in the United States has found a way to suppress free speech, but without doing this directly. They are doing this very much indirectly. And there's going to be a pay time. There's going to come a time where social media will come back and they will ask to be paid back for all those favors. And there's going to come a time where the party now in charge is going to come to the social media companies and they will ask for payback for favors. Scary times.
So if they're acting at times as if they have political affiliations, does that mean you'll get the sort of response you would normally get if this was a government? Do you think that the Russian government will step in and say ban YouTube in the country or take some kind of action as if they were actually dealing with another government?
Well, maybe. It might be that this is going to be something that will follow. I think there is going to come a time where not just the Russian governments, but other governments will say, enough is enough. We have seen legislations in countries such as Poland, where the parliament has said very, very clearly they will not accept any unilateral banning of politicians that YouTube or Google or Facebook might not like the policies. And I think that we are going to see more and more of governments retaliating in response to social media companies' what is effectively political activities.
Appreciate your analysis there. Very interesting. Yair Cohen, my guest, internet law expert.